Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Wigging Out with Bobby Z, hosted by me, Bobby Z. And you guessed it, it's a Wiggy Weavy Wednesday, and it's a tutorial, so yay! This video is going to talk about how I personally hot roller wigs, and I'm also going to do a demo where I show you guys how to do a roller set with a side part. I've done some other videos showing you guys how to wet set, about base direction, and how to do candlestick curls and all of that, but I never showed you guys how I personally hot roller things, and I've been hot rollering synthetic hair a lot lately. It's just so much easier to do than a wet set, and it's faster, and you can style it within half an hour once it cools. I personally like to use hot rollers for something that I have to do something quick and dirty. Now, I find that if you hot roller a wig and then steam it versus wet set and steam, the hot roller set doesn't last as long and doesn't get as crisp, but you still get a great finish, but it will drop a lot faster than a wet set will. Why exactly that is, I'm not sure. I guess the moisture in a wet set just makes it tighter, but I have a video up on wet setting as well, so click and watch that if you guys have questions. So I had a video a couple weeks ago about washing wigs, and then I had a video after that about steaming out wigs. And one of my first videos I ever did was how to block a wig. So I will put the links up in this video if I can figure out how to do it. Last time I tried to do it, YouTube was being stupid and not letting me do it. So hopefully they will be around in this kind of area here. If it sounds a little windy and loud, I'm sorry. It is like 9 bajillion degrees out right now in New York. I already got my air conditioner on my lowest setting and the highest fan. What do I gotta put it on? Power Ranger? I'm not a damn toucan.
I got out, it's hot!
And I already did show you guys in another video how I roller set, but that was like a candlestick curl on track. My friend Cassie, hey girl, how you doing? A girl that is out in California that I met through Instagram, and we've connected on Facebook, and we have a lot in common, and we talk all the time about hair tricks and tips and all of that. She does a lot of her synthetics on hot rollers, and for the longest time, I didn't do synthetic on hot rollers. Like, I would do a hot roller if I was doing something and I missed a curl, or it didn't roll tight enough and it didn't set, and then I'd put a hot roller in there just so that it would set. But I never thought about doing a wig all with hot rollers. Hot rollers kind of look like this. They're usually plastic. If you're buying, I like to buy my hot rollers used, preferably old ones, because they get really, really, really freaking hot. Like, they can burn your fingers. You can also use hot sticks, which look like this. I have a pack of these. I have a big one my mom got off of like QVC when I was like a baby or even not even born yet, and they still work amazing, so I have those. These are good for like really tight curls and stuff like that, or if you want like a fro. These are more for that, but I usually just use the hot rollers. I currently have 4 sets of hot rollers, and I just got 2 more sets on eBay a couple days ago, so they're on their way to me right now. But these are my hot rollers that I have right here. So they're already plugged in, they're heating up. So as you can see, this set here, this is the Porcelain series by Jill Bear. I've had this about 5 years now. No, I didn't know 8. So I've had this about 5 years now, and they still work great. They still work great. They're a little hot, so I can't hold it, but they have the big ones, medium size, and then little baby guys. This set is by Windmere. I've never heard of this brand before. They're kind of old, I'm assuming. They don't have like a manufacturer's date or tag on them or anything. I got them at a thrift store for $4. And they work, and they get super hot, and they're amazing. Always look for hot rollers when you're at the thrift store. And a lot of times thrift stores have outlets in the electrical department, so you can plug stuff in to see if it works. So plug in some hot rollers, go grab a magazine, wait about 10 minutes, and if they get hot, then they're worth buying because they're not going to be expensive. I also have 2 sets of these, which are by Clairol, which again are probably older than me. These were my mother's. My mother gave me these like in high school, and at the time I didn't really understand how to use a hot roller or anything like that, and I didn't think that they worked for the longest time. I didn't think they got hot enough because I tried them on like a cosmetology head or something and it didn't work. But now I had her ship them to me, and they get so hot, like they burn your fingers. But that's what you need for synthetic hair. You need them to get ridiculously, like, actually I'm getting burnt like through this towel right now, so I gotta put these things down. I have 2 sets of those, and I also have this whole big bag. It's like, this is full of extra rollers, and there's like 7 or 8 extra hot sticks on the bottom, but this is all extra rollers, all 3 sizes for my Clairol's, and that really comes in handy, especially when I have two sets going. I'll use one set completely, and then I'll put new rollers in, because I basically have an entire set in here. So I can use up a set, put a whole new set in, and then by the time I'm done using the second set, these are hot and ready for me to use. Now, when you're using hot rollers on a synthetic, you always want to steam it. However, I have in the past used really tiny rollers and used small sections on a synthetic and not steamed it, and it turns out good. Like, the root doesn't really get anything at all because the heat doesn't penetrate, but those ends will curl right up. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for as to what you're going to do to get there. So today I'm going to show you guys how I hot roller a wig and how I steam with the hot rollers in it. You can skip the steaming if you want something that's more of like a natural loose curl, but since I like to do all my big waves and my big curls and tease the crap out of them, I like to steam them as well. When you look at a style or something like that, and you see waves and you see curls and all of that, you have to be able to look at that and figure out, okay, which way did those rollers go? Which way would the waves go for it to make it like that? So as you can see, for an instance, my hair finger waves diagonally back from my part over here. Now, I've said before, I've said a million times, I've actually made a video of me styling my hair. It's not up yet because it's going to be one of those, when I don't get around to doing something, I'll put it up. I don't do anything to my hair. My hair naturally makes this wave pattern itself. My hair is curly. It's color treated. I put a lot of moisturizing crap in it to try to get it soft and wavy, or else I get like a big frizz ball. So my hair naturally waves off my face like this. But if I were to set a wig to look like my hair, since my hair diagonally waves back from my part this way, I would set it diagonally going back from the part that way. If you wanted a part here and you wanted the waves to come across like this, you would set them parallel to the part like this, straight down. You want to do a finger wave or you want to do curls or anything like that, you always want your rollers to line up this way so that you make a solid wave when you brush them out. You don't have to line them up this way. Sometimes I'll stagger them. It's called bricklaying. So you can bricklay your roller by putting a roller and a roller and a roller. Roller, 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 roller. So you're basically looking like a brick wall. So you're alternating so the seams don't line up. But most of the time, I just line them up anyway because it's easier for me to see it. So when you're rolling synthetic hair, you really want to make sure that you're rolling it as tight as you possibly can. If you just wrap that end around the roller and roll it down and try to steam it, you're not going to get a curl. And if you do get a curl, you're going to get it at the part that was wound down. You're not going to get it on that end. You need to use a T-pin or a corsage pin or a hat pin or something long that you can stake down in that roller so it's not going to move. Because the second that thing unwinds a little bit, you know when you use a pin curl clip and you clip it and you let the roller go, it kind of shifts out of its tightness a little bit? That's bad. You really need to get that thing tight and you need to get it down. You can see I have 4 sets of hot rollers. So I usually get all 4 sets going at once because I like to use a lot of hot rollers. You really only need about 2 sets for a full wig, but since I have so many multiple sets, I can do 3 or 4 wigs together because I can do one of all small, one of big, one of mixing. So the more sets of hot rollers you have, the more diverse your wigs can become. But start with at least 2 sets because wigs are usually very thick and you need that heat and you need to have smaller sections for the curl to take from the heat. I'm also only going to be using the smaller type rollers today. I'm not going to be using the really big ones. So that's why I have multiple sets going so I can use the smaller guys out of all of them. So here we go. This is the girl I'm going to show you guys today. This is a wig that I bought that I added some hair into, and it is a lace front. This is just a store-bought lace front that I added a more realistic hairline to. That tutorial is also coming once I cover more stuff about ventilating. I added about a pack of hair to the sides and the top of this. This is a drag wig that's going to be stacked with another wig on the back, so I needed to thicken out the front and the top, but the back is not thick at all. You can still see wefting and you can see all that baldness, but if you do that on the side, you can't because I added a whole bunch of hair. You're going to want to brush your wig really well. This wig was all one length and I cut some choppy layers into the top and the front because my client doesn't like when the top is too long because it falls in her face. So I gave her some layers so she can brush it out and brush it back. So next you want to figure out where your part is going to lie. And this client likes their part on the left. So I'm going to do a left part over here. Now I sewed some extra track into here because of the way the parting was originally. Didn't look so great. So maybe if I part it, I'm gonna have to part it right there. Okay. So that's a pretty deep side part. I'm going to start with my Clairol set, and I'm going to use the largest roller in here. Now, the largest roller in my Clairol set is the same size as the medium rollers in my other two sets. So I'm going to start. I already sectioned off the front, and then I also sectioned out the back. You want to think about how wide a roller is. So a roller is gonna sit perfectly right there. If anything, make your partings a little narrower versus wider. If you make the part wider, it's gonna be harder to fit that roller in there later. I clipped it back so I know what not to use in my next roller. So I'm gonna start in the front. And generally, what I like to do on my synthetics especially is if I'm trying to do a swoopy wave like that, or if I'm trying to curl it onto the face, I don't like to make my roller marks straight on like this, because especially with a synthetic, even if you tease it really well, you'll still see those splits. So you're basically doing them on a diagonal, so you're not going to get that straight back roller mark. You're going to have a roller mark that's diagonal. It's going to be more easy to hide. My first parting, I'm going to go all the way back to where my part ends, and I'm going to go diagonally forward into the front lace of the wig. So for me, that kind of hit on the side of the widow's peak. So that's my section right there. So I'm going to comb it nice and smooth. Then I'm going to take my end paper, and I fold it lengthwise most of the time. And then I like to roll until that second that the end paper disappears. With a wig like this, there is a little layering and texture in it, so I usually will add an extra end paper just after I roll it, just to make sure that I get all those ends nice and caught in there. And then you just roll it down and you sit it right on that base. So this is an on-base roller. Now with a hot roller, sometimes the hot rollers, one of my sets of hot rollers has a split in the middle like this. Usually I'll pin through that. However, these rollers do not. So what I like to do is I like to go in diagonally into the back of the roller like this. So you can see I'm going into this roller diagonally like that. And then I go in diagonally, and then I kind of, as the pin comes out of the other side, I twist it up. And then that will keep it in place and keep it nice and tight. If this happens and you get some little hairs that are coming off the back of the roller, what I like to do is I like to just put a pin right on the edge of that hair section to hold that hair in place. Because if you don't, sometimes it'll steam down and you'll have a weird corner right there, and we don't want that. Okay. So now my next section I'm also going to do on a diagonal as well. Do these diagonally, and then once I get into the sides, I usually will do those horizontal, straight on horizontal, not on an angle, just so that my curl will get maximum shape. So again, another roller in there. and diagonally in and twist it. Because then you'll get that tension that you need for it to hold its roller. I just sped this up for you guys so you guys can just see how I roll them continuously diagonally down and then horizontally on the side. And then once I get down to this last roller here, I almost always put a roller one size down right here. I do that along the bottom as well. I put my bottom 2 or 3 rows in a slightly smaller roller because I find that that gives you a nice on the ends versus if you use all one curl. Especially with hot rollers, I like to go back through and I like to retighten my my rollers after I go in. As you can see, I have this side done. I have these 3 rollers going diagonally, and then these 3 rollers are going horizontally. And I have my smaller roller underneath. I've since sectioned out the same thing on the opposite side, about a 2-inch panel of hair, and I'm going to go in the same way I did. Side, I only do the first 2 diagonal, and then I roll the other 2 down. So usually, because this is the side the wig parts on, this side has less hair, therefore I do 2 smaller rollers on the bottom section instead of 1 like on the heavy side. So now I have, so my part is right here and I have it going away from the part. I have my first 3 on this side, first 2 on this side diagonally, and everything else is horizontal, parallel to the floor. So then usually what I do is I find my center point by using the wefting of the wig like I showed you guys before. So my middle line's right here. And if it's really, really thick, I'll split center by doing 2. If it's not thick, I'll do 1. So I'm going to show you guys 1 roller today. So take a section about as big as your roller. If anything, make this one a little smaller because this is the first one you have to put in back here. So make that section a little smaller. So you're going to take your section and then front center, end paper, roller. Gonna roll until that hair disappears into the paper, and then you're gonna roll it down. Sometimes that happens where it starts to get a little loose. You just tighten it as you roll it, and it's usually good. The side of a roller. So as I burn myself, ow. Okay. Just want to make sure that that one is very, very tight. So I have my front center roller. So now I'm just going to go straight down the middle and straight down either side to connect all the rollers around. Okay, I sped this up once again. So I go down my center line and then I try to make straight partings on either side and try to line up my rollers along the wefting lines as best as I can. Now, as I continue to spin this girl around, and if you look closely, you'll notice that actually I was not quite center with my center line, so please excuse that. But you just continue to follow down. You'll see now here I'm getting into the back portion of the wig where it's really bald, so I'm taking very large sections. If your wig isn't very thick, feel free to use really thick sections on the rollers. They will still set. However, if your wig is very thick, you want to take as small sections as possible so that you can get the maximum amount of curl. Now you can see here I'm getting into the bottom where I'm using my rollers that are down a size. And the bottom 2 rows on this girl were. So I'm going to do a turn so you guys can see. So this one's a little wonky. It's a little sideways just because there wasn't enough room for that roller to fit in like that. As long as it's not completely vertical, it'll be fine. See, this one fits underneath because I rolled it down a little further. This side, it's kind of on an angle because it's up a little more. It'll look fine when it's brushed out. And then you want to steam it. Now, I've said it in the past, steaming in a bag is all personal preference. I like to do it just so that it's faster and I make sure it's all steamed. And if you are going to steam in a bag, make sure if the bag has any printing, the printing is on the outside. So cover your wig with your bag. And as you can see, my steamer's going right now. Move this over a little bit. So right now, this is the back of the wig. So I have the center back of the wig. Put the steamer under the bag. I like to put it right at that bottom roller and I like to face it up into that roller. And I like to hold it for about 15-20 seconds until you can touch the rollers above it. And once the rollers get hot up here, you know that that's going to be steamed enough, because when you steam a wig in a bag, all the steam lives up here. So you want to make sure you steam around the edge and the perimeter and then take the bag off. So that's pretty hot. So I like to do quarter turns. So I'll turn it so right now I'm facing the side of it. And then I put my steamer on the side. And I usually on the side I like to move the steamer around in the bag, just to make sure I get those bottommost rollers in the corner, and to make sure I get those rollers kind of along the front as well. So that's pretty hot. Turn it again, you're now facing the front. The front you really don't have to steam that much because the steam rolls over from the top. So just kind of get it a little moist. I need to move my steamer away because it's starting to back up. And then turn it again so that you're facing the opposite side. And I like to hold, since the edge of the wig is on a diagonal and the rollers go this way, the edge of the wig's a diagonal, I like to put my steamer on that, matching that diagonal going in, so that the steam can roll around it. And then I turn it once more and I hit those bottom rollers one more time. Those bottom ones are always the ones that I would forget, or the ones that wouldn't get steamed. And if those bottom rollers don't get steamed, you'll see it in the finished style. So you want to make sure that they're nice and hot. And I like to kind of touch them and make sure that they're getting there and they're hot. I like to touch along the front. The front's hot, sides are hot, whole thing's hot. Okay, cool. So you take your steamer out and turn it off. If your wig is really, 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 really thick, so if I had sewn hair into the whole wig and not just the front, I would leave the bag on it as it cooled, because you need to penetrate that hair, that steam needs to seep in there. But since this isn't that full of a wig, if I do that, the top can actually fry. If you oversteam a wig, it can fry and you can dull the color out. So you need to beware. So since this wig isn't quite as full, I'm going to take the bag off. And it's smoking right now. Okay, so now she's cooled for about an hour or so. That's why I like using hot rollers, because they're just so much faster. So she's cooled, so now I'm going to take them out. And I'm not going to style her, I'm just going to brush her out so you guys can see how nice they come out. My new favorite thing to do when I'm taking a wig out with rollers and everything is to use little clear bins. These are from the Container Store. I have them labeled, like this is labeled purple and gray perm rods and pins. That's just what used to be in this box. The box is now empty, so bye-bye. I like to just throw all my rollers and end papers in here, and then I sort them out later. And then also, if you do that, you're not messing up your workspace or cluttering up your workspace. You're putting everything in a bin. And then if someone's coming over, or you have a client coming over, and you're like, oh shit, my workspace is a mess, this will help you, because even if you are just throwing rollers in there, you can easily just tuck that box in a little closet or up on a shelf or something when you're done, if you have to tidy up quickly, and then no one will ever know it's there. Now all of her rollers are out. So you can see she has some nice body and shape to her. So I'm just going to give her a nice little brush. See what I said about the roller marks? How these roller marks are barely visible and these are super visible? So if you do a diagonal roller mark, you're not going to get a split as badly as if you do horizontal. You know, you can roll this up into a victory roll. You could do this kind of forward roll, like a 40s thing. You could do it into a big swoop thing like that. You could pull the sides back. You could jack it up really big. It's just a good generic side part roller set. Or I could take it and I could twist it back and have it back off her face like a faux victory roll. I could take this part and I could brush it all forward onto her face, kind of like some sexy finger waves like that. You can brush it all back so you have it off the face. You could put this side back, all depending on what you want to do. So that's what she looks like. So that is how you do a side part roller set with hot rollers and steam on synthetic. Thank you guys again for watching. I really appreciate it. I love all the comments and emails and questions and everything that I'm being bombarded with all the time. It's amazing. I'm so glad you guys are enthusiastic and you guys are wanting more and more and more. So I'm going to try to give you guys more and more without giving away all of my secrets. Stay tuned every Wednesday for a new video. I'm trying to do a lot more tutorials lately because everyone's been asking for them. So be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter. I also recently made a Forspring so you guys can send me questions and I will answer them either on Forspring or in an Ask Bobby video in the future. So keep all of that in mind and be sure to subscribe. Please, please, please subscribe. And I'm sure I'll see you guys again next week. Thanks.